I have a concern. I'll just wait and see. My key works on Monday. Keep working. Go attack the Miami Dolphins, and plan on getting our first win next week.
After 5 a.m. Eastern Time, I'm Andrew Siciliano. This is NFL Now on NFL Network in our newsroom in Los Angeles. Thank you for being here. Jay Gruden is out as head coach of the Washington Redskins, called into his office in Ashburn, Virginia at 5 a.m. and told that after 5 games, they've lost them all. Time to go home. Bill Callahan has been named the interim head coach of the Washington Redskins. They've lost 7 games in a row dating back to last season. Yesterday, they lost to the Patriots in a stadium at home that Tom Brady said was 70% Redskins fans. Gruden is 5 games into his 6th season. Ian Rappaport was working early in the morning, probably, Ian, because we kind of expected this one. 5 a.m., we'll see you at the office. Thank you for playing. Why now, Ian? After 5 games. Last coach we've seen fire this soon was Joe Phil.
In similar fashion, this was one that really had to happen here. Now, the Redskins, Andrew, did not initially want to fire Jay Gruden anytime this season. It was really the hope all along was to kind of go through and evaluate this product at the end of the year. But then you have 5 straight losses. You have so many fans in your building. You have such malaise from the fan base.
Ian, I'm going to cut you off here. I'm going to cut you off. We'll get back to this in a second. Bruce Allen, Redskins team president, on the podium now. Ashburn, Virginia, you are looking live in Washington.
Good afternoon. Last night after the game, we came to a decision that we had to relieve Jay of his duties. Dan and I met with Jay this morning to release him of his duties. Jay was disappointed in not being able to achieve what we all wanted to achieve, and it was a brief conversation. After that, we had a coaches meeting, and we're fortunate to have a seasoned veteran like Bill Callahan on our staff. And we named Bill our interim head coach, and had an entire coaching staff meeting. And Bill has been grinding through meetings the rest of the morning. To make a decision like this is difficult, but it was necessary. Our 0-5 start is not just disappointing. We had much different expectations for this beginning of the season. We owe it to our fans, our millions of fans, not just here in the great nation's capital, but across the world, the organization, the players, the coaches, and their families to do everything we can to win. And under Bill's leadership and the programs he's going to put in, and the discipline and execution, we believe we're giving it the best opportunity to beat the Miami Dolphins and for the rest of the year. With that, I'll take some questions.
John Kahn, ESPN. Bruce, obviously you know what Jay Gruden's record is. Under Dan, the record isn't as good either. Your tenure here, not as good either. Why should people have confidence that you guys are going to finally put together a product that they want to see on it?
You know, John, that's a fair question. And right now, we're all 0-5. And I don't believe anybody is hiding from their record. And our goal is to obviously change that and beat the Dolphins. When you're around this building enough, you can feel the passion of these players. You can feel the ability of these players. And you can see the coaches working their tails off to try and come up with a winning game plan. That's all we can do right now is work toward the Dolphin game and this season, and to keep developing these players.
Great. Bruce, moving forward, what's the plan at quarterback? Have you talked to Bill about that? Is it expected to, does he have free reign to pick whoever he wants to go with, or have you talked about time to develop Dwayne Haskins for the rest of the season?
Well, Kareem, yes, it'll be up to Coach Callahan who plays at any position, the same way it was up to Coach Gruden on who's going to play. We're thrilled to have Dwayne here. We think his future is very bright, and whatever gives Coach Callahan the formula for success, I'm sure he's going to do. But you'll be able to ask him that later today.
JP, then Les.
JP Finley, NBC Sports Washington. Bruce, throughout your time with the Skins, there hasn't been much success, and you've held various roles, GM, VP, team president, all of that. What's your level of accountability for that lack of success?
Well, once again, fair question, JP, that we're all involved in this. I don't ever want to hide from our record. I don't want to hide from things that didn't go the way we wanted them to go. And all we can do is work. And do I believe in the group that's here? Yes. I think Doug and Kyle had a great draft. I think they've had a few great drafts. I see what the coaches are trying to accomplish. And I see what the people do at the stadium. They're great workers. They care about this team. They care about this franchise. And I'm not saying I care more than anyone, but I absolutely want what's best for the Washington Redskins, and we're going to make sure we do it.
Bruce, over here. Les Carpenter, Washington Post. First thing I want to ask is, when last night did you guys make that decision?
Oh, I believe it was around 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, somewhere around there.
And is this for cause? Is this for football reasons, non-football reasons?
No, it's not for cause.
Okay.
Craig, then Michael Phillips.
Bruce, Craig Hoffman, 106.7 The Fan. You've been the primary decision maker for this organization for nearly a decade now, and in that time, you guys have won only 38% of your games. When you look back at that decade, what do you feel like you could have done differently to not be standing here now, having moved on from a second head coach in that time?
Well, I promise you that I've never thought of standing here mid-season with a coaching change. We all have hopes and dreams the same way the fans do, and the players who are working out right now trying to get better. And all we can do is try to improve tomorrow. I'd like to change a result of a game or two or a season, but you can't. All you can deal with is today and tomorrow, and that's what we're going to do.
Why is Dan Snyder not addressing the fans today?
Because I am.
Will there be an opportunity to talk to Dan about the franchise that he owns at some point?
Yeah, Dan's makes himself available from time to time.
All right. Rhiannon Walker, The Athletic DC. Bruce, at the end of your tenure at the Oakland Raiders, you had 3 straight playoff appearances, one including the Super Bowl with Bill Callahan. In Tampa Bay, 2 of your last 3 years, they were in the playoffs. What is the plan here for DC? How can you replicate the success that you had in Tampa Bay and Oakland and bring that to DC exactly?
Well, you know, Bill, as I said, this season, he has a track record as a head coach. He is already implementing a plan for this team, and schedules are going to change and things of that nature. It is 0-5. We have 11 regular season games left, and we still can accomplish many of our goals. There's no one in this locker room who's going to quit, no one in this organization who's going to shy away from some extra work. We'll be confident in the work product, and hopefully we can execute better on game day.
Bruce, Ben Standig with The Athletic. Go back to Dwayne Haskins. There's been plenty of reports and conversation about whether the front office and Jay were on the same page with regards to drafting Dwayne at 15. What can you say to that, if everybody was on the same page? And then also, what were your thoughts on the development of Dwayne this year up to yesterday?
You know, when you take a first-round player, it gets a lot of publicity. The 7th rounders don't get much publicity. All the coaches are involved in our draft meetings. When we're setting the draft board, the coaches are involved and they sign off on everything. As far as Dwayne, we're excited as hell to have him on this football team. And we think he has a great future ahead of him. He's working very hard. He's learning the system. And when Coach Callahan decides to put him in, he'll make that decision. But Jay was excited about Dwayne Haskins, and I think he probably talked to several of you from OTAs and training camp about how well he was doing.
Tom Fitzgerald from Fox 5. I don't know if this is a football question, but this is more of a state of the state question. Yesterday, your stadium was pretty much taken over by Patriot fans. The players heard it. The opposing players heard it. The opposing head coach mentioned it yesterday. Where we're at right now, can you apologize to the Washington Redskins fans who have been so loyal for so long? And what are you going to do starting today in your capacity to make things better?
Well, I appreciate, Tom, I appreciate the fact that the Patriots have a great fan base. And they've had tremendous success, and Bill Belichick's probably the best coach in NFL history. So I'm sure many of our fans put their tickets on the second market and made some money on it, selling it to people from the Northeast. All we can do is try to improve our product. These games we weren't close in. We've lost 5 games, and we didn't lose them in the last second. We lost these games decisively, and we have to change that. And our fans deserve that, and this market deserves this. We're in the nation's capital, and it deserves better than that, and we have to get it done.
We're in the nation's capital, and our fans deserve better than that, and we've got to get it done. Bruce Allen there, team president of the Washington Redskins, asked some pretty pointed questions about his responsibility and the future of this organization. Bill Callahan has the unique honor, I don't know if honor is the right word, but he has followed both John and now Jay Gruden as head coaches of NFL teams. When Gruden went to Tampa, Callahan took over in Oakland. When Jay Gruden is fired here, Callahan takes over in Washington. You're watching NFL Network and live coverage of that press conference in Washington. Jay Gruden fired at 0-5. Bruce Allen's first press conference there since 2017. He did speak to the media at the Senior Bowl guys in Mobile a couple of months ago. Ian Rappaport and Charlie Casserly and Brian Billick. Let's start left to right. Ian, just real quick, finishing our conversation from before. They said the decision was made at 8 or 9 o'clock last night. They told Jay Gruden this morning, and Bruce Allen says Bill Callahan picks the quarterback. It's got to be Dwayne Haskins. It's got to be, right?
At this point, we do not know. Remember, they do play the Miami Dolphins, and I believe then they have a bye. So there's certainly some discussion to be had, and he's right. Jay Gruden did pick the quarterback. Obviously, Jay was a big fan of Colt McCoy, was a big reason that McCoy was actually in there starting. But, Andrew, the timeline here, from what I understand, Gruden was told basically late last night, or probably around 8 or 9 p.m., that he needed to come in. So at that point, he knew he was getting fired. Obviously, the meeting happened at 5 a.m. today, causing the wake-up call and causing this news to break early. But Gruden was pretty clear what was happening as of last night, and Bruce Allen laid out the reasons why. They were not competitive. They were 0-5. It was obvious he was getting fired, and obvious that he was not a part of their future. And then you have a situation where a Patriots fan invade their stadium, take up seemingly more than half of it, which, of course, Bruce Allen noted that a lot of the Redskins fan, I guess, made money on the secondary market, which was an interesting point there. But once that happens, then you basically have to make a change. Then it was clear Jay Gruden was out, and now Bill Callahan is coming in, and we'll see if he'll end up making a difference.
Charlie, Bill Callahan takes over. Where do they go from here as an organization?
Well, I think Bruce is right in a couple things. One, they've had some good drafts recently, so there is a nucleus there to work with, and I think Haskins is going to be a terrific quarterback. If you give Haskins the reins, you're just going to live through the rest of the season. He'll get better each week. Maybe you lose to the Miami Dolphins. Quite frankly, the best thing that could happen to you is have the first pick in the draft and have a quarterback. Now all of a sudden you're in a leveraged position to get draft choices to build for the future. So I think Callahan will give him leadership. I think he'll give him discipline. I think that's what Bill was talking about, or excuse me, what Bruce was talking about in this situation. So as a general manager, you have a list ready. You always have a list ready. So you're going to be starting on that list. You may interview coaches before the end of the season who are not employed or in college. So, those are some of the things they'll be working on right now.
There are only 32 of these jobs, so certainly they are highly coveted, Brian Billick. Is this a desirable job?
Every job in the NFL is a desirable job. I've always said NFL jobs are always just right. And by that I mean if they were any better, they wouldn't be available. If they were any worse, you wouldn't take them. But the idea that, again, do you believe Dwayne Haskins is a first-round franchise quarterback? If you do, this is a very desirable job because in the NFL today, you take a job one is what's our quarterback situation? If we've got one, great, let's build around him. If we don't, let's go get one. So that's really the $64 million question. What do they think of Dwayne Haskins? I've got to believe organizationally they believe they have the guy. For me, you got to play him. How do you know? You cannot get to the opening of next season not knowing if Dwayne Haskins is indeed the franchise quarterback that you took at 15 overall. And the only way you're going to know that is to put him in and play him right now.
Again, it is the Dolphins on the road, the winless Dolphins coming up this week, then San Francisco, and then 2 tough road games at Minnesota, at Buffalo. Ian, you've thrown out the name Kevin O'Connell already, quarterback coach. They've had a lot of young offensive minds come through there, McVay, Shanahan, LaFleur. Obviously, we know all of them. Is O'Connell the guy in waiting?
Possibly. He is going to receive some consideration from what I understand. And you're right. They've had a lot of guys, a lot of really good young coaches leave their building and have a lot of success elsewhere. We saw LaFleur against the Cowboys. Only the latest there, obviously, Sean McVay, the most famous. So there is some consideration to, is Kevin O'Connell the next of those? And, of course, the team hasn't been good. There's a lot of reasons why offensively they have struggled, but they do want to see if maybe this can be a repeat of what the Browns did, which was have someone in as the interim coach, kind of right the ship a little bit, allow O'Connell, similar to what Freddie Kitchens did, to run the offense, take more of a leadership role, and then see if potentially he is the next guy. They have a lot of time manager to do a real search. They are going to. I would expect them to consider college and professional coaches, but O'Connell should get consideration and will get consideration as well. Another thing I want to mention, we talk about Dwayne Haskins. Certainly the next head coach of the Washington Redskins is going to be someone who believes in Dwayne Haskins. That is going to be an important part of this next hire.
Which is a great point, because organizationally, you don't take a guy 15th overall, fire a coach after 5 games, and then hire a coach who says, I don't want this guy. They got to get him on the field.